Hi, my air rising signs, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am the Tarot Dragon, and on this channel, I like to do tarot card readings whenever I feel called to do them. So, in today's reading, we are going to be looking at whether your wish will come true. So, to do this reading, we are going to have three different sections. To start, we're going to look at what your wish actually is and, what you've been hoping for. And in the middle of this section, we're going to be looking at whether your wish will come true or not. And with the tarot cards, we're just going to get some clarifiers or answer some more specific questions that I feel like would be useful to you. And then we're going to finish off by looking at some cards from a homemade deck that'll just give you little tidbits of information to kind of add on to this reading for you. So if that sounds like something you're interested in and you would like to continue watching, please feel free to do so. And please remember that at any point in the reading, if there are messages that I share with you that don't feel like they're for you and that don't really resonate, then that probably just wasn't for you and you're welcome to just discard those messages. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this reading and I hope that it helps you and is useful in some way. So we're going to move over these cards here for when they are going to be used, and we're going to start off by looking at what you're actually wishing for. So to start, we have Will-o'-the-Wisp, Treasures Hidden in the Shadows. I haven't seen this card in so long, so that's fun. We have Action. We have Hunter with Tracking. Oh, wow, okay, very, very interesting. We have Soulmate. We have Victim Consciousness. And to represent your energy, we have the Whale. Wow, okay, I definitely see a vibe here. But interesting. So the feeling that I'm getting just by looking at these cards, I see a common thread. And the common thread is you searching for something, you going after something, and kind of following both your intuition, but also, I guess, like signs in your real life. So, for example, maybe you, you know how there's just like regular things you have to follow in your day to day life, like deadlines or, you know, you have to physically go to a certain place to attend class, that kind of thing, right? So I feel like there's this really interesting mix between you intuitively trusting that you know what the next step is, and also backing that up by action and really following through in your day to day. But what I find interesting is that besides like the soulmate card, I don't actually see what the wish itself is. I feel like I'm being shown the fact that you're just moving towards something. Perhaps when you watch this reading, maybe for this collective, you don't actually have a specific thing you've been wanting to manifest or that you've been wishing for. Maybe it is a soulmate that you're going after, that you're wanting to, be with. But I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't really feel like that's what this reading is about for you. This doesn't really feel like it's about a relationship. This feels like you're on a mission of some kind. It's giving me the feeling of an entrepreneur or someone who is like, maybe you're in college and you are just, taking on a lot of classes, internships, student extracurriculars, like you're really wanting to build your resume. It reminds me of somebody who is maybe interviewing for a really prestigious job or trying to get into a really prestigious school. But I don't really, it's giving me more of what you're doing, not what you're going after. So maybe you don't have a very concrete goal for yourself. But I will say, I think in your heart, whether you're aware of it or not, I do think that a romantic relationship is something you really want. And for some of you, like, you might know that very obviously. Like, you're like, yeah, you're right, I want a relationship. But for a lot of you, I don't think that finding a partner is your main priority right now. Like, you're prioritizing other things, but I think in your heart, this is what you want. Even this whale, and whales, okay, the whale itself is facing this soulmate card. But the whale, in terms of like its energy, represents a person who is really following the kind of, like, yes, following their intuition, but more like it's like following what your heart is almost. Okay, this is a really weird way to put it, but it's almost like, how your heart beats at a very specific pace. Well, not that specific. It can change, obviously. Your heart rate can slow down, speed up, but it's making me feel like your heart is racing at in a certain way, and the closer you're getting to something, it's almost like you're aligning with it. Like the closer you get, the more safe you feel. But it's making me think that you're simply just following what's resonating with you, what's making sense. And very interesting that in these two cards, the horses, and there's a horse here and there's a person, are both running this way, but this whale is facing this way. And with Will o' the Wisp, treasures hidden in the shadows, I wonder if you're actively going after something right now, but what you don't realize is that the true wish, the true thing that's going to come through true for you is kind of not really related to the thing you're going after. So again, let's say you are a student right now and you're really, really working hard, building up your resume, getting on your student government council thing, or you're really trying to get that internship. And that's your priority. That's what you're putting your energy toward because intuitively you know that this is for you and you know that you can do this. But it's almost like the universe is saying, yes, yes, keep going toward that internship. But what you don't know is like at that internship, you're going to meet somebody who is like, who becomes a really good friend of yours. Or maybe you'll meet a soulmate, or maybe you'll meet another person who will help you get a better job in the future, right? It's almost like you think like the steps you're taking in your career or in your academics are actually leading you to something more emotionally substantial, which it could be a person. But I think what's interesting with this victim consciousness here, why is this here, Spirit? Because it's almost, this is making me feel like it's a little shadowy energy that you're wanting to ignore. You don't want to be aware of this, which I understand, right? Sometimes our shadows are just so inconvenient. Well, oftentimes they are, right? I mean, they're shadows for a reason. They make our lives more challenging. And so it's understandable that you wouldn't want to like sit with this. But it's interesting that I keep feeling pulled to it. Even the hair and the dress situation, how it's like flowing, it looks like the wispy parts of this card. I feel like there's something within, so you might struggle with the victim consciousness. And if you don't know what that is, well, first I want to say that like there's a difference between being stuck in a victim consciousness versus being a victim. Because victim consciousness sometimes like it completely disempowers you and it keeps you stuck in this place of feeling like the world is out to get me. I can't trust anybody. I'm always the victim. Everyone's always trying to harm me. And sometimes people really are harming you. And sometimes the world really is out to get you sometimes, right? Like life is, sometimes we really are just victims of situations. And but with this card, I feel like there's a part of you that maybe feels like you're alone in the world and that you can't trust anybody. And I can't tell you how to feel, but I wonder if this is just your response to being betrayed in some way, or being hurt by somebody. You've kind of internalized this idea that as at your core you're going at this alone and that no one is trustworthy. Because Will o' the Wisp, if you've seen the movie Brave, you've probably seen the little blue wispy thing. You can always look up like what Will o' the Wisp is, but it's, you can't really, I mean, I guess you could see them in the daytime, but usually they show up at night and they're blue and like they kind of just, they're very wispy and like they move really fast. It's kind of like a ball of light almost. And and it'll lead you to what your heart is truly desiring. But the darkness is making me think of a shadow. It's also making me think of like, how when you go really deep in the ocean, it's super dark because the sunlight can't penetrate that deeply into the ocean. Poor choice of words, penetrate. But it's like what you're truly wishing for. I don't think that you're consciously aware of it, but the more that you do shadow work, the more that you really uncover what your motivations are and what might be keeping you stuck in this place of, oh, I can't trust anybody. I feel like that's when you're going to be more aware of what your heart's truly desiring. Because you might feel like you stand out in a crowd. You might feel like you either have the best work ethic compared to the people around you or the worst. You either feel like you're the best dressed person there or the worst dressed. There's this feeling where you seem, or you have this energy of like you stand out for one reason or another. And I will say you are definitely motivated and driven. So, and maybe in comparison to others, like that's what makes you stand out. But I'm also thinking of how whales are like really like massive animals. Um, and so it's almost, I almost feel like your truest heart desire doesn't really match the way that people perceive you. Because I don't know, it's making me think of how sometimes being intuitive is associated with weakness, but trusting your intuition will lead you towards your greatest fulfillment if you follow it far enough. But it's like perhaps people see you as this like super driven ambitious person, and you think that if you admit that what you're truly wanting maybe is a relationship, or maybe it's something that is just kind of almost off brand, if you will, like it doesn't really match the way people see you, you feel like, what do you feel, spirit? What is this collective feeling? It's like, I don't really feel like you'll be embarrassed about it, but it's just this feeling of like you like how people perceive you and you want to keep it that way. Because it's almost like it keeps you safe. People are either, and don't take this, I'm okay. People either like see you as super driven and ambitious, and so they don't mess with you because they're like, oh yeah, this person knows what they're doing. Or on the other hand, people, they feel like you stray too much from the crowd, and so there's this feeling of like, oh well, they're doing their own thing, so I don't need to bother them, like I can just mind my business type of thing. It keeps you safe. You might intentionally do the opposite of what people around you do, or you do even more than what they do, so that it sort of keeps the barrier between you and others. Hmm. But what is the wish? What is the wish? Perhaps your wish is to surpass your enemies, or to kind of to do, almost to get revenge. Because I feel like you may have been through a lot, or you've been like humiliated in relationships, or you've had friends backstab you. Maybe you've been very supportive of your friends when they, like, maybe you've helped them craft resumes, you've helped them interview for do mock interviews, maybe you've given a lot of relationship advice, but then maybe when you were going through something, people kind of kicked you when you were down, or maybe they just simply weren't supportive. And so I feel like right now, maybe what you're really wanting is just to surpass everybody, especially the people that that hurt you, and that's what you're putting all of your energy toward. Now, the action card and the hunter card are not bad cards, by the way. It's just the way that I'm seeing this. It's giving me the feeling that you're not aware of what your wish is, because it's 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 hidden on the other side of your shadow. Or in other words, like in maybe in psychology terms, like it's kind of, maybe your trauma responses are preventing you from really understanding what your truest desire is. Like maybe you had a really traumatic relationship, and so now it's hard for you to really admit to yourself that you want a relationship because there's so much trauma there. Or maybe you had a really, maybe like you've been humiliated by a coworker, and so now like you refuse to connect with people at your job, or whatever it might be, right? I mean, trauma looks like a lot of different things. It can be caused by anything, really. um but it's given me the feeling that the sooner that you can kind of get back into your heart space, the sooner that you can connect with yourself again and really trust yourself, like this feels like you're kind of living two different lives in a way. There's like this version of you that you put out to the world and you want to pretend that that's you, but there's another part of you that's feeling very alone and disconnected, and that's the part of you you need to incorporate into your core self. You need those two parts to merge, and I think that when you do that, it's going to become very clear what it is that you're searching for. Either it'll become clear what you're searching for, or your next steps will become perfectly clear, because you're not going to be afraid to go into your shadow, to like kind of sit in the place of your shadow and see, what does this part of me want? Maybe what you're going after right now is something that you wouldn't want if you were in alignment. I know that sounds like I'm not. I don't. I hope that this is coming out the right way. But you know how sometimes, like when we, if we go through certain things, we trick ourselves into thinking that what we want is this thing, but in reality, we don't want this. We just think that we do because. What's a good example of this? Like, um, I'm struggling to think of an example, but like when you're in like when you're not when you've been through a lot and you haven't fully processed that, you might think that you want X, Y, and Z, but really this isn't what you want. You want something different, but it's just that there's so much you've experienced in your life that it's completely altered your mind and your identity. And so it's hard to identify what it is you're truly wanting because it's layered beneath so much pain. In order to figure out what this is, you got to go through that pain again and kind of process it. But it's hard to do that. It's hard. Um, but even in this action card, it talks about how like the white horse represents your highest self, and the black horse represents your kind of your earthly self. It could represent your shadow self too, but I kind of see it as your earthly self, and how you should allow the white horse to guide you because it's your highest self. Um, it's the part of you that is the most wise, the most intelligent, the most aware, and to let that guide you. But I think you're having a hard time accessing this truly wise part of you. I mean, you're wise too. I'm not saying you're not wise. You're very wise, and you're definitely smart as hell. That's one thing. I hope I'm not. Hope I'm not giving the wrong impression. You, my friend, are accomplishing a lot. Like you're not playing games right now. You're definitely going after something really big, and that there's no doubt about that. And I think you're going to get it. So if what your wish is like this career opportunity, this internship, like I think from what I'm seeing here, you are committed. You're definitely going after it. But what Spirit is showing me, instead of really talking about that, Spirit's showing me the fact that that's not your actual greatest wish. Like, that might be one of your wishes currently, but a true wish that your heart is calling you toward, I think, is a relationship. I think it's something related to love. But at the same time, I don't feel like it's a relationship, which is why this is so elusive. Ah, my air rising signs. Usually, air is easier for me to work with, but it's a little hard today. But why don't we move on now and look at whether this wish will come true or not, and see, maybe through that we'll get more clarity as to what is going on here. So to start, for whether this wish will come true, we have the Sun with Spirit. I love that. We have Level Up. I'm not even gonna try to say that. I know I'm going to mispronounce it, so yes, there's that card. Interesting. No, never mind. I thought that was an 11, but I can't count, apparently. The Ever Unfolding Rose, cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. And we have Shallow Grave. You miss someone. Okay, thank you. This kind of helps make sense because I wasn't sure. I wasn't really feeling it that strong. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't feeling it too strongly, so I didn't say it, but perhaps this will resonate with only a few of you then. But in this soulmate card, if you can kind of see, this person is very human looking, but this person kind of looks like a ghost. And then with victim consciousness here too, I was wondering for some of you if there was like the memory of a partner or the memory of somebody that was really haunting you almost. But I think that's only for some of you. I don't know if that's for all. But whether your wish will come true or not. So I think that it can, and it likely will, but I feel like it's going to be the result of I think that there's a lot of again internal work that you need to do, specifically with your confidence. I think you maybe allow people to walk all over you more than you realize, and you might not allow yourself to really go for the things that you deserve. Uh, and which is interesting because I did feel like for in the earlier part of the reading that you're going after something that's pretty impressive, like a prestigious internship. You're getting into medical school, you're taking the LSAT for law school, like something pretty impressive, like, whoa, this is challenging, but you're going after it type of thing. And perhaps just by nature, that's going to be a challenging thing to achieve. And so, again, whether your wish comes true is just kind of up to you and your effort. Like, if you don't study for the LSAT, you're not going to do well on the LSAT type of thing. But I also feel like there's a message here about you being able to connect with the part of you that knows its innate worth. Like, have you ever talked to somebody, and heard their perspective about, like, their life, their career, their relationships, and the way that they speak about themselves is with so much respect and honor? Like, they really know their worth, and they do not play games when it comes to their time, their energy, their money, their body. Like, they have so much respect for themselves, they do not tolerate anybody walking all over them. That's the energy you are slowly getting yourself into, and I do feel like you're getting into this energy. But there's a lot in your shadow that's kind of preventing you. But with this sun card, it's like illuminate those shadows, shed light on the part of you that feels victimized, the part of you that's stuck in a victim consciousness. Um, shed light, like for this card, for example, I'm not the biggest fan of the whole like, oh, it's happening for you, not to you thing, because I think it can become toxic depending on like how we take that phrase. But I will say with this card here, this is a timing card in this deck, and what it talks about is kind of like sometimes there are like annoying, frustrating things happening in our lives, and we don't really know why. And it could be sometimes it's because the universe is orchestrating it. Not always. Not always. Sometimes bad things happen to us because people are very cruel and they harm us, or sometimes like there are larger structural things happening that impact us. And other times it's the universe being like, no, this thing needs to go because you need to prepare for this amazing thing you're about to receive. So it's not always the universe. Yeah, my left ear just started ringing. It's not always the universe that's um the universe isn't constantly punishing you or constantly putting you through negative things so you can receive a blessing. Sometimes it really just is other people. Because we do have free will, right? And I think with this card, it's kind of reminding you of the fact that it's hard to know when it's the universe orchestrating something in your life so you can walk away from something toxic, or when it's simply just the world being the world. But even though you can't always know the truth of a situation and why it's happening or how it's happening or why it's being created in your life, you can still choose to kind of alter your perspective a bit so that it's easier for you to move through this experience. So for you, for example, this phrase of like it's happening for you, not to you, if that helps you detach from a situation a bit and be more objective so that you can, not internalize this belief that you deserve terrible things happening to you or that you're always a victim. If this helps you empower yourself, then use this phrase as your motto. But if this makes you feel, if this kind of like reinforces that victim consciousness, then reject that quote. Then don't associate with that, right? Because you, my friend, deserve to live a life that is so empowering and so like you've been through some shit. And even through all that, I can still see that you're a hard working person. Like you don't play games. But I think at your core though, there is a big part of you that feels so wronged by the world. And if you hold on to that forever, it becomes really challenging to like connect with people, to let people in, to receive your blessings, because there's always this core feeling of like, oh my God, but what if this is ripped away from me? What if they betray me? What if they do this? What if they do that? And it's really hard to really immerse yourself in the beautiful blessings that you deserve. And I think there could be like somebody from your past that you miss. And this feels so complicated because I almost feel like you might have some mementos of theirs, like you might have a sweater that they let you borrow one time and you never returned, or maybe they have gifts that they bought you or cards that they wrote you that you still have. But I almost feel like there's a really bittersweet feeling here where it's like you miss them, but you're mad at yourself for missing them because I feel like this person hurt you in some way. Um, the striped leggings here or stockings are making me think of that book. I don't know what it's called or if you even read that book, but when I was in elementary school, there was a book about this girl who was sick with like some kind of cold or the flu, and she got stripes, I think, on her skin, like rainbow stripes. I don't know what the hell it was called, but that could be significant. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see this. There's rainbow stripes here. That's crazy. So maybe that book is significant. But the reason why I thought of that is because I thought of the phrase like I'm sick of you or you made me sick. Like this person could have actually like really what is the word? I don't know if caused is the right word, but like through this relationship you could have gotten into like a really you could have gotten really intense anxiety, you could have found yourself in a depression, like you could have your mental health could have gone through some things. um I feel like there's a lot of layers here to your reading, and I'm still struggling to see like what the core element is here. But one thing I see for sure is that whether your wish comes true or not is kind of dependent on two things. One, it's whether you continue to put in effort on the material world. So like, for example, actually applying for the things you need to apply for, meeting the deadlines, showing up to class, showing up for your shift at work, like the things that you have to do as a person. Those kinds of things I think are really important for you to reaching your goal, but it's also important that you need to have a mindset shift that you actively are working on, where you stop seeing yourself as a victim of the world. And if this is triggering for you, I'm sorry. If you need to take a second away from this reading, I totally understand. Please take care of yourself. And I don't want to, I don't want to make things worse for you with this reading, because I hope that this brings you like clarity and comfort, not, I don't want to cause distress, right? But I also will say that triggers will show you where you need to heal. And if you're feeling triggered by something that I'm saying, when you find yourself in a healthier mindset and you're not feeling triggered or anxious or stressed, maybe reflect on what it is I said here that triggered you and journal about it, reflect on it, meditate on it. Because I think that there's something going on internally that prevents you from really embracing your truest self, because you've been hurt by somebody really bad, or you've been hurt by the world, which is not your fault. And you maybe experiencing a victim consciousness also, like, I don't want, it's, you're not a bad person for that, right? It's honestly a natural response to being victimized, like it, or to experiencing trauma. It's not really like, you're not a terrible person. I don't want that to be the message that you get from this. So if that's the message that was coming through, I'm so sorry. Really what I want you to know, and what I think what I'm like feeling here is like, you're a really amazing person, and the universe wants you to embrace that in such a like robust way. Like, be proud of your accomplishments, honor yourself, celebrate yourself, because you have done so much work already, and the universe wants to give you your blessings. But the really frustrating thing here is like, you don't really know what the blessing is, you don't know what the wish is, because there's a part of you that you've been isolating. And I think it's because there's also maybe some self blaming here, or some internal guilt, where you're like, damn, why do I miss this person, like, or dang, like, why do I still want this thing in my life? And it's hard for you to not judge yourself for wanting certain things or for feeling certain things. And I don't want you to blame yourself. The universe doesn't want you to blame yourself. If you have desires, you have desires. The question is just, where are those desires coming from? And are those honest desires of your heart, or are those just distractions that you're wanting, I guess, is sort of the vibe that I'm getting here. And we're going to finish this section off by looking at two timing cards to see when this wish may come true, and sort of like what is the timeline for you that's really significant here. So take these as they resonate, and remember, time is kind of an illusion, so really this could take a lot longer or a lot shorter than what is signified here. So for the first timestamp, we have the energy is gaining momentum, waxing moon. I'm not surprised by this at all, because I did feel this since the beginning of this reading, that you are moving at lightning speed. You're really doing so much work right now, which is iconic. I really do love that for you. Can I, one second? I feel like we've had repeating numbers here, but I don't know if that's true. You have six, oh no, we did not. I'm just lying to you. I'm sorry. I thought we had another 39, but I think I made that up. Be bold and make the first move. Cardinal moon. Wow. And you know what? This is giving me like heart energy. So cardinal signs are Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer. And to me, the cardinal signs are just the most like heart-centered. I don't really know why I feel that way. That's just kind of how I feel, not really like an astrological thing, but it makes me think of the heart and like really doing something from the heart. Because part of being a cardinal sign is like, you're very creative, and you start things, you ignite things. And in order to create, you kind of have to be well, you don't have to be, but oftentimes creativity comes from the heart space, like from your heart. And I feel like for you, I did see that there was kind of a disconnect from your heart space, because there's a lot of pain there. And as we saw with the Will-O-the-Wisp card, part of how you create, or I guess bring your wish into fruition, is by connecting with your heart so you can figure out what that wish is to begin with. And what's interesting too with this sun card, I guess I don't know if I don't think I said it, but in astrology, the sun represents your goals in life and your aspirations, like just what your goals are. And then Mars is like how you go after your goals. Um, and I wonder too, like for you, you might confuse your heart's wish with your career goals or your professional goals. And they can be the same, right? You can, in your heart, you might have a wish of like being a millionaire or having tons of money, having a certain career, and that, that's okay. But I think for you there's a difference. I think that there's something your heart really wants, and there's something that your brain is like, yeah, I want to achieve that. And I think they're separate things. um but starting with this first card for the beginning of this timeline for when this wish will come true, I feel like it's already happening, is the feeling that I get here. There's a lot already happening, right? Um and this makes me feel better because this makes me feel like this reading was more accurate then, because I was kind of confused at the beginning. um I think that this is a situation where your wish is going to come true indirectly, um unless you do shadow work, and then you'll be able to see what your wish truly is. But even if you know what your wish is, like if you know for sure you want a relationship and that's what you're moving toward, I still feel like you're going to get it in kind of a convoluted way. Like you're going after this career goal, and by achieving this career goal you meet your partner at your new job, or you randomly decide to do a study abroad and then you meet your partner in a different country. Do you get what I'm saying? It's kind of like this random, like you're not really going after the wish, you're going after some other kind of goal, but by going after that goal you still achieve your wish. um so it seems like things are definitely moving. It's reminding me of the Three of Wands. The ball is rolling. You are making moves, and this is important and amazing for you. So it seems like you're actually already in this process. Um, and with this card here, so you could have a significant Aries placement as well. I mean, the first sign is Aries, and we have cardinal moon here, but Aries feels significant. Maybe Jupiter, when Jupiter was in Aries, that was a really important time for you, which was just recently, actually, like the past year or so, maybe past 2 years, I can't really remember. But um, throughout this process, what's happening is you're developing again a more like almost, I keep wanting to say the word bombastic, like, but really what I mean is like a really bold and like powerful, fiery version of you that's like not even fiery, it's like fiery earth. It's like it's making me think of like a Aries Taurus vibe, where it's like you're grounded but you're also very passionate and creative. You're developing a part of you that the part of you that used to be very afraid and used to feel like really wronged by the world is going to be fortified through this process. You're going to be finding the power within yourself, and that's helping you see the world through a completely different lens. And it's like, and you're becoming more powerful, and you're realizing that you do have a lot more skills and a lot more wisdom to get you through difficult times, and you're becoming like a powerhouse, like so powerful. Like, those singers that when they sing it's like from their heart but also from their stomach at the same time, and it is just like the most whoa, like you can sing type of thing. That's the feeling I get from you. It's like your soul is so radiant, and like it's making me think of the colors black and red. um but anyway, yeah, I think you're like by the end of this phase, you're going to be in a place where you're no longer afraid to speak up, where you don't mind being the same as everybody else. Like you don't mind if everybody in your class is getting straight A's, including you, because you know that there's something about you that's unique, that you have like a flair about you that is always going to set you apart from others. This could simply be like just your self-esteem. Like it could just be your confidence, where you feel like you really are unique, you really are special, you really are deserving of everything you want, and that's helping you bring in what you want. It's not egoic, it's having confidence. Like I think, and I don't think you're going to be in this place where you're like, oh, I'm better than everybody else. It's this feeling of like everybody has value, everybody has their own skills and talents, and I am unique as well. Like I have my own flair. I'm not afraid to like I'm not afraid to blend in with the crowd, because I know I'll never fully blend in because I'm unique. Like my soul is unique. And there's also a part of you that's no longer going to be afraid to go after your soul's wish. Remember how I said like the cardinal moon is it's a really good time to, well, I guess in general, the cardinal moon signs are very they're not afraid to be the first one to say something, to be the first one to admit something, to go after something. It seems like their whole being is very emotional, not like boohoo emotional, but like it's very packed with passion and emotion and creativity. They're very feely. They're very, even like a Libra moon, or for you maybe a Libra rising. It's very emotional, and I feel like you're connecting with your heart space in a way that's going to allow you to go after your dreams and not feel so much fear about it. Like you're kind of going through a really like your empowerment era, your bad bitch era, like really growing and understanding your worth, and not just like on some basic level of like yeah, I'm worthy as a person. It's like no, I'm worthy. My dreams matter, my life matters, my thoughts and opinions matter. Like you're definitely getting to a place where you're like, you can't knock me down from here. I deserve what I want. And that is so powerful. I love this for you. But I have questions. So let's see. We're going to use the tarot cards to see some specific questions. Let me take a sip of my coffee. Okay. So, Spirit, I have to ask, what is this wish? Can we see a hint or a very clear answer to what is this wish for the air rising signs? What is this wish for the air rising sign, Spirit? Or what area of life is this wish going to be impacting? I feel like taking this one. So the Eight of Wands. Okay. Again, Spirit's pissing me off. Okay, no offense to spirit guides. Not that they'll be offended, but the Eight of Wands again is not quite... It's more of like an action, or like a verb, if you will, not a noun. So that's interesting, because sometimes when we do these kind of like wish videos, in certain collectives, it'll be like, oh, you're wishing for a certain job, you're wishing for a child, you're wishing for a certain home to live in, or a relationship. But for you, it's kind of a mix between what you want, what your wishes hasn't really come into the forefront of your awareness yet. And it's also this feeling of life is speeding up for you and it's leading you towards your wish, but for some reason I can't quite identify what it is. Maybe that's simply me. I can't identify it as a reader, but you know what your wish is. So that could also be it as well. It could just be that I'm not quite picking it up. Maybe my Aquarius moon is blinding me to your desires. I'm just kidding. But so yeah, I mean, with this Eight of Wands, this is a card that represents the ball rolling, right? Things really speeding up, and like really getting either like blessings kind of raining down on you and life just seeming super lucky and really easy, or it just represents you being just unstoppable. Like you're going 100 miles per hour, you're not playing games, you're going after your goals, and life is really good because you are empowered and confident. You're not afraid to take risks, you're not afraid to invest a lot into something because you know you have the power to achieve it, and you believe that you deserve to achieve this thing. So I feel like, and maybe that's simply what this is. Maybe that victim consciousness card that we saw earlier was representing this feeling of, or was representing a really big theme in your life. Maybe it's something that you're not super aware of, but it plays a really big role in how you move in the world. There could be this core feeling of like, I don't deserve blessings, or I deserve suffering, that sort of keeps you stuck in this place where you don't know what you want because you're not really letting yourself even really think about it. But your wish is sort of, I feel like your wish is wrapped up with something else. It's either in general, you just want to be happier and you want to be free, and that's when your wish is going to come true, or it's that your wish, you're going to get your wish through some other achievement of yours. It's very, can't quite pin it down. I'm sorry. I'm sure you wanted something really clear. And I love giving those kinds of readings because they're just, it makes me feel like I'm doing something good. But This one is definitely a bit, it feels so layered, and I feel like I'm not quite getting to the heart of it. Spirit, what do you want this collective to know about their wish? What do you want this collective to know about their wish? The Three of Cups. What do you want this collective to know about this wish? The Seven of Swords. What do you want this collective to know about this wish? Ten of Pentacles. Can I clarify the Three of Cups, please? Can I clarify the Three of Cups? Ace of Pentacles. Can I clarify the Seven of Swords, please? Strength, Leo energy. I feel like taking this one too. Page of Pentacles. And what about the Ten of Pentacles? Can you clarify the Ten of Pentacles? The Devil. Okay. Back of the deck is the Wheel of Fortune. What is this? Five of Pentacles. Ah, go back inside. Okay. So, okay. So let's see here. What do we have? Well, I first want to say that with strength, the sign of Leo could be significant to you. And with the Ten of Pentacles, oh, I lied. With the Devil, we have Capricorn. Sorry, my brain stopped for a second. Okay. So what do you need to know about and then with the Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter, again, could be significant, which rules Sagittarius and Pisces. What you need to know about this wish, with this Three of Cups and Ace of Pentacles, it's giving me that same feeling of what I said earlier about somehow your career and your relationships are tied. Maybe you want to look into your birth chart and look at your astrology to see if there is a strong connection between like the 7th or 5th house or 11th house with your 10th house. Like maybe there's some kind of strong connection there. But that's, you don't have to do that if you don't really like astrology. But I definitely feel like, for one, I really think that your wish has a lot of shadow attached to it, in the sense that the more that you can understand yourself and trust yourself to go after what you want, the easier this process will be for you, in terms of bringing your wish into fruition. But I think you need to understand that if you don't really trust yourself, and if you don't learn how to empower yourself, even if you get this wish, there's a lot that you're going to be forced to deal with. You know, sometimes people like, or I never used to understand that message of like, if you don't heal, if you don't do shadow work ever, then even when you get your manifestation, you'll never really be happy with it. I used to never get that. I was like, are you sure about that? Because I think if I got, you know, this and this, I would definitely be happy. But then one time I was doing a reading, and I thought about the concept of imposter syndrome, or perfectionism too. I guess this could relate with either. Have you ever like worked super hard on a paper, like tried your absolute hardest, you worked so hard, you turn it in, and you get a 100%, which is a perfect grade, right? You got a perfect grade, you got an A, 100%. But because you are a perfectionist, or maybe you have imposter syndrome and you never really believe that you deserve the good grades you get, or you never really feel like you're smart enough, you never feel like you're doing enough, that A will feel like nothing to you. You know what I mean? Or if you have a core belief that you're just an ugly person, you're unattractive, you don't like the way that you look, and somebody says that you're the most beautiful person they've ever seen, they just love your hair, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, whatever, you will never fully believe it because you don't love yourself. You don't see the beauty in yourself, right? And the same is true with like your blessings. You might think that, oh, okay, if I get into law school, then I'll be happy. But if you don't think you're a smart person, if you don't see your worth, once you get into law school, those core feelings are still going to follow you there. So I guess the question right now is like, how much of what you're struggling with is other people and how much of it is you? Because with the Seven of Swords and Page of Pentacles, like, you got to know that sometimes it's hard. Like, I don't want to bully you with this reading. I don't want to kind of like I'm not trying to bully you. So I feel like sometimes when I give negative messages, or what it feels like kind of a being called out, I feel like it's a hard message to give because I want to be compassionate towards your situations, because I know how tricky life is, right? I mean, we're all living it, right? Like, it's hard. And I think that you struggle so much with self-sabotage and with setting yourself up for negative experiences, specifically with how you talk about yourself and how you perceive yourself. You don't give yourself enough credit for how strong you are, for how much you've accomplished, for how much you've been through. Like, you have been through it. And I think that you never really feel safe in your own skin. And I feel like that influences how you see the world. A big part of you doesn't feel safe with yourself. And so there's this feeling of, I can never feel safe with anybody else. But where does that belief come from? Is it from those friends who betrayed you, if they did, or is it from like an internal thing? And I mean, asking these questions openly and just seeing what what you have to say about it is important, because sometimes we think we know why we act the way that we do, but we really don't. There's something else beneath all of that. But I will say one thing, what you need to know about this wish is that it's coming true whether you like it or not. Well, not whether you like it or not. I think you'll be happy and pleased when this wish comes true, but at the same time you might not be. Cuz like I said, if you don't do the shadow work now, when you receive this blessing, there's so much like there's a big shadow and a lot of pain that's attached to it because it's triggering a lot. And if you don't realize that this is what you've been wishing for, it can feel almost like this isn't really your wish. Does that make sense? So for those of you where there is a relationship or a friend or a partner that you might meet at your next job, you might not realize that that person you're meeting is someone really important for you and that they could actually be a really good friend, a really good partner, because you haven't dealt with past relationship pain, past relationship trauma. Because when you don't deal with that stuff and it goes unprocessed, it bleeds into the other relationships in your life. And with this Wheel of Fortune, the wheel is spinning. It's going. And I think it's because, again, your wish is attached to some material endeavor you're doing, whether it's applying to a new school, maybe doing volunteer work, getting a new job. And so because you're most likely going to get that job or that internship because you're a genius and you're working so hard and you're and I mean that, like I can see that in your cards, like you are understanding your target, which is like the job you want, the internship, the class, whatever. You're understanding it so well that you're able to really you're putting your best foot forward. So I feel like there's a really, really good chance that you're going to get this job or you're going to get this internship, whatever it is. And through that, you're going to receive your heart's wish. But if you don't do this healing work, that wish it's like, it's going to be hard for you to accept it, you know? And I think a big part of this is like, it's hard for you to accept new things into your life, especially if it seems too easygoing. This wish is not going to come into your life in a painful, tragic way. It's like, how sometimes we don't realize it, but our maybe like a core wish of yours is mm, to feel happier. I don't know, to be the happiest you could be. Unless you have a really mean, nasty best friend who's just not a good friend. In order to be truly happy, you're gonna have to cut that person off, and that might be really painful, right? But this is not a situation like that. This is a situation where what you're going to be receiving is really beautiful and lighthearted, and it's like perfect for you. And it's definitely there's the potential for something really long lasting and stable here, but because of the fact that there's a lot of internal pain here and a lot of, I think, a low self esteem, you might accidentally, how do I say, almost sabotage this in some way, right? You might push away the person that could actually be a really good friend for you, or you might end up telling yourself you don't really deserve this thing, so you kind of isolate yourself from it. And the universe doesn't want that. I don't want that. And in your heart, you don't want that either. In your heart, you want all the things that you want. But it's all the pain that tells you you're crazy for wanting to go after this. You're gonna get hurt. This is gonna happen. That's gonna happen, which isn't true. We have the Chariot here. I felt like breaking the deck. We have the Chariot. I really feel like it might be useful for you to, if you can, and if it's something you're interested in, you might want to consider checking out therapy. And I say that because I felt like there is some real trauma here that is, well, I'm not a damn like doctor, but you know, it's talking to a trauma informed therapist could actually be really, really useful for you if you can do it, and if it's something you want. And if you've experienced trauma, you're in this collective, I feel like you probably know this because I do think that you're aware of the really negative things that have happened to you that you shouldn't have gone through. Like it was like painful stuff. But I think what you're not aware of is all the ways that you're trying to protect yourself from experiencing something like that again. But those protective mechanisms are not helping really. I think that they're actually creating more numbness and more pain in your life. And I think it unintentionally results in self-sabotage because you're just trying to get your feet on the ground. With this Page of Pentacles, I think that you're probably you're probably quite young. You could be like a young adult, or maybe you're trying to really, you know, get into your career field, or you're you know, you're young. Like not everything is figured out yet in your life. And so I think you're just trying your best, but you've been through a lot and you're very strong. And it's like what you need to know about this situation is that like you'll get what you want. I guess the question is like, or I think what this reading is really telling you is like just prepare for receiving this blessing. Do the preparation work. Get yourself to a place where you love yourself, you trust yourself, where you can recognize when you're being triggered, when you can recognize when it's a defense mechanism or a trauma response that's showing up for you, right? It's like, I think you need to challenge some of these beliefs that you have about yourself because they're really getting in the way of your true happiness. And you deserve to be happy when this wish comes in. And I think that the possibility for that is very much there. And in fact, like I said, I think you're already in this process, which is amazing. I think you're already working through this stuff. It's just that there's, I guess maybe this is just confirmation then for some of you. Yeah. Okay, this is like, I think it's getting a bit repetitive now. I think I'm just saying the same thing over and over. Whew. Okay, so I'm gonna do something, I think I did this for the first pile as well, for the fire signs, or fire risings, but with the sorry, I'm just slurring left and right. With the Homemade Oracle cards, I have 3 decks here, yeah? The middle deck here, the green and white, this represents cards about career and finance. The blue and white and academics. The blue and white is like general messages, and then the pink, white, and yellow is romantic, love, friendship related messages. But because yours, I'm seeing a little bit of everything, I think I might just pull like 3 or 4 cards from each deck and just see what comes through. So let's start with the love and relationships one and see what comes through there. So Spirit, what else do you want to say to the air rising signs about this wish? What else do you want to say to the air rising signs about this wish? Wow, love songs feel so much more vibrant. Oh, I lied. Now, love songs feel so much more vibrant. Not wow. Maybe the song Wow by Post Malone is significant. I don't know if that's a romantic song, but I don't know. I just wanted to say that. Felt like it was for you. One more. What else do air risings need to know about this wish? Just one more card, Spirit. Okay, well, we'll take 2. So we also have POV by Ariana Grande. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. That's definitely for you. If you've never heard the song, you should listen to it. It's absolutely beautiful. Love Languages, which I wasn't sure for a second. So she has a song called Love Language too. Maybe, I don't know, that could be significant. But yeah, Love Languages. Maybe you want to look and reflect on how do you like to receive love? What makes you feel loved? And how do you like to express love? Get to know yourself a bit. Get to know yourself in a romantic way. And also, you can give yourself the love languages too. Like, if your love language is words of affirmation and you feel the most loved when loved ones are telling you how much they love you, telling you empowering, affirmative things, you can give that to yourself as well. So, you know, you have lies or lying. Interesting that I was talking about words of affirmation and then lies came up. So, that's actually so kind of heartbreaking. Yeah. You know, if your love language is words of affirmation, then lies, being lied to is probably really, really, it's like one of the worst forms of betrayal for you. Like, it just really hurts because you take people's words so seriously because it's so important to you what people say. So when they're dishonest, it really, really hurts. kind of like how if someone's love language is quality time and they love to spend quality time with their partner, but then maybe they're hanging out with their partner and their partner's just on the phone the whole time or is really distracted, that would really hurt. So it seems like this might be something that really hurts you. And if you have been lied to in a significant way, or if you've been repeatedly lied to in little ways or whatever it might be, that could be something that's actually causing you to distrust others as well. And we have I'm thinking of you. Okay. Thinking About You is also sung by Ariana Grande. I don't know why I feel like just saying so much about her. On the back of the deck, we have I Forgive You. Okay, so getting into your career messages, career, money, academic, spirit, what do you want to say about the air rising signs wish? Let's get a few cards. Actually, that's good. Well, yeah, that's good. So we have the Pomodoro method. This is a method that can really help you with studying. So maybe you want to look this up, and it could be really useful, especially because you are maybe a little bit busy right now, because you're definitely with what your wish was. It looks like there was a lot of action required, a lot of going forward, being not quite, what is the word? Taking initiative. And this method could help you really prioritize your time in a way that's efficient, so you can get things done really quickly. And we also have high school. So you could be in high school, which kind of makes sense because I was saying, like, I kept talking about students, but also I was talking about, like, building up your resume. Maybe what you're applying for is college, like undergrad, and just really, yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense if you're in high school. But, I mean, if you're, like, a freshman or a sophomore, I mean, my readings, I guess I never really set an age limit on there, but it's definitely not really intended for minors, but you could be in high school and you're watching this. If it resonates, it resonates. You don't have to live your life for your parents. So this could be something that you're also having to work through, is like figuring out what it is that you're desiring, and how that, and being comfortable with how that might differ from what your parents expect for you. And then for your general messages, Spirit, what do you want to say about this wish for the air rising signs? What do you want to say about this wish for the air rising signs? Any final advice? We have you are living in fear. I do think that that's something you're currently experiencing. This doesn't have to be your reality, though. It is very possible to live a life where fear is not your normal. Fear is an emotion, right? You can feel afraid, but fear doesn't have to be the core place that you're moving through the world from. That does not have to be your normal. And if it is your normal, that can change. And we have, it is time to forgive yourself. You are transforming and shedding your skin. Leave the past in the past. So maybe this I forgive you card is both about like forgiving someone else, or having them forgive you, but also about you forgiving yourself. Because I do think that there's a lot of guilt here, a lot of self-sabotage. You hold yourself to such a high standard. And I think it's because, like, I think you sometimes do things, like, I feel like subconsciously you do things on purpose because you know what's going to result in failure, and you do that almost to punish yourself. I don't know if that's for all of you, but for some of you, like, you might have a really low self-esteem and you do things on purpose that you know are going to set you up for failure, so that when you fail, you can be like, see, I knew it. Like, I'm terrible. I'm like, I'm such an idiot. I'm so this, I'm so that. Which is like, yeah. And then let's get like maybe one or two more cards, Spirit. What else do you want to say to the, oh my, okay. So we have, what kind of media do you consume? This is so, yeah. If you spend a lot of time on social media or on Netflix or whatever, please pay attention and be aware of what it is that you're spending a lot of time doing and watching, because that shit really does mess with your head. So when it comes to music, does your music empower you? Does it make you really sad? How does it make you feel? Same with TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. Like, I'm telling you, it makes a difference what feed you're looking at. You know, what side of TikTok are you on? Can you change that? Well, yes, you can. You know, algorithms can change, right? Pay attention to this, because you might be making, kind of like hurting yourself more and harming your mind more through the kind of content that you consume. I don't know why I put that there. Right here. And then finally, we have Good Days by SZA. Yeah, I think this actually might resonate with you a lot. And on the back of the deck, we have the sign of Libra. SZA might be a Libra, actually. No, yeah, maybe she is. Maybe she is a Libra. Ariana has a Libra moon. Don't ask how I know. Okay. So, air rising signs, I am going to be leaving your reading here. Thank you so much for watching this reading and for sharing this space with me. I really hope that this resonated with you in some way and that you got something out of it. I apologize that it was kind of spacey and not quite as specific and clear as I would have liked for it to be, but I hope that it was still something for you and that you got something out of it. So, if you did and you would like to support me in some way, I would really, really love and appreciate if you could like this video, subscribe to my channel, or most importantly, comment telling me how this reading resonated for you. I really love to see people's comments and just know like what parts of the reading you liked and what felt right to you, what resonated. And yeah, thank you again for being here, and I really hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!